Boom. The Terava Skrama 240, the orcish short of bushcraft. We've got a total length of just under 17 inches, a blade length of 9.4 inches, weighing in at 525 grams, with a blade thickness of 4.2 millimeters, or 0.17 inches. It comes with a mostly Scandi grind, or a V-edge, and we have a high carbon steel of 80 CRV2 with a Rockwell hardness of 59. We have a very interesting molded rubber handle that's textured, making the tang of this knife hidden, yet it is still full tang. It provides for a very excellent grip. Even when this handle's wet, it still has a very positive traction, unlike other smoother handles. Also, with the tang not being fully exposed, the knife has a warmer feel to it. It's a very interesting and unique handle. At the back of the handle, it's almost a standard size. You can put a full grip on it. And then you have this little extra part up here where you can spread your two fingers over this bump so you can choke up like that. And it's actually very comfortable to hold the knife like this. If I choke up a little further, I can even get 3 fingers up in that groove. Get right up close to the blade. It gives you a lot of power and control in this area up here by being able to grab up this far on the blade. And because you have the extra handle at the end here, it makes the knife pretty well balanced right around this spot here, right where the handle ends. So it actually has a very good weight ratio for handle weight to blade weight. That means when you are doing finer stuff, you don't have this really heavy blade always pushing down and wearing out your arm. Also, the extra length of the handle allows you to come back here and get some nice chopping action. And if you really wanted to, you could easily two-hand this knife like so. You could even do like a little golf grip if you felt like it. That gives you just a little bit more control, and you could kind of use it like an axe. It's got a unique shape to it. It's kind of got like a cleaver-ish blade style. Almost looks like a Warncliffe. The edge itself came really well ground. It comes with either a leather sheath or a hard plastic sheath. I actually prefer the simple hard plastic sheath. I don't particularly like wearing knives this big on my belt. It's a little bit too cumbersome, a little bit too clangy, and it's just a bit too big. I feel like it's unnecessary to wear a knife like this size on your belt. I also find that it's more packable in this form, and you will also save money if you get it in this format versus getting the leather sheath with it. This knife is surprisingly good at doing the finer tasks. You can generate a lot of shavings with this knife. There's a little technique that you can put your knee up against the back of the blade. You can take a stick and just simply pull it back and forth to generate quite a few shavings in a very short amount of time. For a large knife, this feather sticks really well. This knife is very good at debarking. It's very good at even just doing minor carving tasks. Anything like notches and stuff, obviously this is not going to be the optimal tool, but it can do it. And as far as a one-tool option for a survival scenario, this would be a very interesting option to take. If you had this on you, you could accomplish a lot of tasks, including chopping through fairly large diameter logs. And if you wanted to, you could potentially like wrap up the end of this blade and use it as a draw knife as well, batoning your firewood and carving and making steaks and making your feather sticks. It can accomplish all of those tasks pretty reasonably. It's also got a really good self-defense element to it. It's pretty pointy at the top there. This feels a little bit more than just a knife. I would say that this knife excels mostly on wood that has a diameter of less than 2 inches. It can cleanly slice through that diameter, no problem. When you get to the 3-inch, 4-inch mark, it requires more chopping, and at that point, I think a hatchet would be more efficient. The Skrama is also not too bad at trail blazing. I would actually think it'd be a pretty good option to blaze a trail. It can cut through like really fine bushes and stuff, as well as taking down those 1-inch diameter pieces that you might be dealing with if you were trying to blaze a trail somewhere. It's not going to work as good as a longer machete, but it has the ability, and not all large knives actually have that ability of being able to trail blaze half decently. And honestly, no shame here, this is just a badass knife. It's like super fun to play with in the forest, and it just feels awesome to like hold in your hand and to just hack at things and literally be a kid in the forest with a knife. It's probably just the kid in me that like feels like I got a lightsaber on me, which is a pretty legit reason to purchase this knife. Even if it's not maybe as functional as a hatchet in a lot of ways, the funometer is definitely higher than a hatchet in my opinion. So I tend to bring this knife out more towards the summer months when I'm definitely not going to be processing up big logs, because it's just not geared towards that. I like to pair this with the Silky Gomboy, and I feel like they're packable options while still packing a punch. And it definitely 100% competes with my Haltan hatchet for bag space on whether I'm going to bring out the hatchet or whether I'm going to bring out the Skrama. If I am looking for a more packable option than the Haltefor's Abbey Forest Axe, then I would be between these two are my next two choices. And honestly, like this might be one of the best options for a large knife for bushcraft out there. As far as price goes, it's pretty affordable, but you're probably going to have to pay shipping costs, and it might be easier to get for Europeans. I think it's about $100 Canadian, and I don't know how much you're going to pay with duty and shipping and taxes and all of that. It probably is going to be a cheaper purchase for people in Europe than it is in North America. But even with that being said, you're still going to be paying similar prices for other large knives in this category. Not only did they create like a unique looking tool, but they actually made it functional and well designed and like a very workable knife. You can really turn this knife into a workhorse out there. And it would be one of my top picks if like I could only choose one knife and I had that like one tool scenario that probably will never happen. This would definitely be up on the list. This might actually be number 1 on the list of knives I would consider bringing with me. In the end, I'm really happy with this guy, and I think you would be too. And I don't think you would regret purchasing this bad boy.